Just a minute, I'm sorry. Oh, I don't know by, yes. Okay. I remember that the last thing I talked about in this class was Diego's example about Bolivia, okay, and how the socio-political conflicts have used the notions of racial inequality in order to empower some politicians at the expense of social welfare. Okay, and now let's go to the next point. Okay, I will focus on the most important points because some points actually are repetitious. Sorry. How the some institutions uh, are also participating in implanting this idea of racial inequality. We call that institutional racism or institutional discrimination. There is a difference between the discrimination that happens. There is a difference between the discrimination that happens in the everyday life between individuals and each other. Okay, this is always happening. Yes, it is bad, but it is not extremely dangerous. Okay, because it is only happening on the individual levels. But the most dangerous discrimination is the discrimination that is adopted by institutions. When we find that the workplace, that the work organizations are discriminating on the basis of race or gender or whatever other kind of discrimination, when we find that the law is discriminating, when we find that some people get that the educational places are discriminating between the students, when we find that employees can be promoted or not promoted based not based on their merit and their qualifications and their hard working, but based on their physical appearance or race or ethnicity or gender or age, all those are kinds of discrimination. We are focusing on race now because this is the most visible thing, but there are also other kinds of discrimination in the society, and you can use what we say about the race in order to understand the other kinds of discrimination as well. Okay, many of the things that we say here about racial discrimination, you can apply on gender discrimination, you can apply on geographical discrimination, you can apply on tribal or family discrimination, you can apply on you can apply on age discrimination. There are several other kinds of discrimination, but of course this one is the most visible. Okay, that's why we are using it as an example of cultural constructs. Okay, so that's so this point is talking about what? About institutional discrimination on the basis of physical appearance. In institutionalization. What do you mean by that? That the institutions, what do you mean by institutions? The social organizations, especially the formal social organizations. The formal social organizations like schools, universities, workplaces, media, the legislations, the law, the government, all of those are formal social organizations, and if they are discriminating on the basis of physical appearance, this is very dangerous for the society. Okay, because they are not only discriminating, but they are in other words, they are telling to people, they are informing the society that discrimination is good. that discrimination is okay, that discrimination is acceptable. Okay? Sometimes you are doing something bad while you are convinced that it is bad, and this is not a big problem because at one point of time you could be corrected or you correct yourself. But if you are doing something bad while you think that it is something good and acceptable, there is probably you are not going to correct yourself. So when the institutions are adopting racial discrimination, okay, so they are telling the individuals that it is legitimate to discriminate. Okay? You understand me? Okay.
Yes, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you. And the ones who are, and of course, if there is institutional discrimination, the ones who are in power, political power or economic power or social power, they are playing a bigger part in implanting this fake idea of racial inequality in the society. Okay? And once it is implanted in the minds of particular generation, this generation will pass it to the future generation, and the future generation will pass it to their future generation through the process of socialization. Okay? You get it?
Yes.
Okay. Also, at one point of time, racial discrimination was legally constructed. What do you mean by legally, Armanpreet? I see your hand. I'm sorry, I will answer you after a while. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay. How can it be legally constructed? Maybe in Canada nowadays, we have fair laws which don't discriminate between people on the basis of race. But that was not always the case in the past. At some point in the past, there was legal discrimination that was allowing some races to vote and some races were not allowed to vote. Okay. In the US until the 60s, there were laws that were not allowing some races to live in particular neighborhoods or to go to particular schools or to get promoted to particular positions, right? So even the law itself, yes, sometimes in the history of Canada or the history of Western Europe, in the history, why I'm saying Canada, Western Europe, and because those are the places which now their laws say that we don't discriminate anymore. Yes, yes, there is some discrimination. There is still discrimination on the social level, okay, but the law doesn't discriminate. Okay, but this was not always the case. Okay, it was different, and nowadays we might find in some countries those legally constructed inequalities. What do you mean by legally constructed? That we will have a law which says that that people are not equal. It doesn't have to say literally that people are not equal. Okay, but once the law says that this group of people are not allowed to do so and so and so, and the other group are allowed, okay, so that means that there is legal construction of discrimination, and in many of the cases this legal construction of discrimination is on a racial basis. Okay, and the people in the society usually they are not that educated, they are not that they are not all intellectuals. Okay, so sometimes the ordinary person will say, if the law is saying that, so the law is right. If the law is saying that people are not equal, so they are not equal. Okay, right? So some people can be deceived by this legal construction of discrimination. Okay, and of course that those racial differences they keep on existing and perpetuated because they have cultural significance. Because now, if the elderly people in the society are already convinced that people are not equal, and they keep on socializing each other and their children according to this idea, so that means that the idea will remain generation after generation, unless we will do a very active uh, a very active reaction, okay, efforts in order to dismantle all of those inequality notions and ideas, and remove them from the minds of the new generations, and convince the new generations that humans are equal. But of course, this is not a very easy process. Okay, it needs lots of socialization activities. The media should participate in that, the schools should participate in that, the workplaces should participate in that, till a new generation that doesn't have those ideas of discrimination will be the ones who are leading the society. Okay, Armanpreet, you have a question.
Yes, Professor. As you previously explained that there can be discrimination because of looks, appearance, and everything. So I just want to ask that can there be discrimination in age?
Yeah,
How? How? I mean, like
some
if someone
let's say that you are applying to a job and I'm applying to a job,
mm,
and you have better qualification than me for this job, but they take me because I'm older than you.
but
They
there can
say
be
they
but
say that you are too young for this job, but you have the qualifications, and there is no and the age will not affect the job. Okay.
yes, but there can be a reason why they appoint you as you explained in example, because you have a because you have more experience of life.
If experience is part of the qualifications that is required, so that will not be considered. So it is a case by on a case by
Okay.
case basis.
Uh,
Okay.
you mean if after having all the experience and
Let-
education qualification, but
let's say
still
that
they can appoint
the
me?
job description says that we need somebody who has 5 years or 10 years experience. Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Again, age is not very related to that, because maybe somebody who is 40 years old will have 2 years experience in teaching, while someone who is 30 years old might have 7 years experience in teaching.
Okay.
Okay. So if experience is part of the qualifications, that's fine. Of course, that is not discrimination. Okay, but the age itself, sometimes in some societies, they prefer, you find that the ones uh, who are who are old are being marginalized and not treated in a good way. And in some societies, the ones who are young are being marginalized and not treated in a good way. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
you get my
Yes.
point?
Yeah, I got it.
And in a country like Canada, the law actually is criminalizing age discrimination as it criminalizes gender discrimination and racial discrimination.
Okay.
This was not always the case, but I'm talking about the modern present law. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay. Here, Washburn is an anthropologist who is saying that the number of races will depend on the classification. So he's just asking, if we find somebody who is classifying, we need to ask him why you are classifying in the first place. Most probably, you either have a personal interest in classifying humans into races, or you are trying to serve a particular powerful group in the society that has interest in classifying people into races. Okay, so why they wish to divide the human species into several racial groups in the first place? Okay, so anthropologists are accusing those who try to classify people into categories based on their physical appearance, that probably either they personally have interests or they are serving the interests of somebody else. Okay? So the anthropological point of view, to summarize, says that scientifically, people are not, the physical appearance doesn't make any difference, is not responsible for making any difference in the abilities, in the physical abilities, on the mental abilities of the person. Okay, of course, people might have different abilities, but not because of their difference in physical appearance. We might have other reasons for that. Okay. Any question? Any question? Alan? Yes.
Can you
Yes.
explain this anthropologist again?
Excuse me?
Can you explain again?
Yes. I'm saying that that anthropologists and social scientists say that the physical appearance is not a factor at all that can impact your abilities, your capabilities, your mental abilities, your physical abilities, your intelligence. Okay? We might have other factors that might affect that, but the physical appearance is not one of those factors at all. As Alan said last class, there is only one race, which is the human race. Okay? This is the only biological, socially, this is the only biological, scientifically proven race. Okay? But all of the other ones that we say, those are socially constructed. Societies have invented them in order to justify different kinds of inequalities. Okay?
Okay, Professor, thank you.
The point? Thank you.
Professor, as I was watching the video that, because I came late last class, so I saw the video later on. I made my comment on it. Because I was watching it and you were talking also about race, the way that you're referring to it right now. I have a question regarding, and it has to do with this question of why they wish to divide human species. On a positive note, yes, some physical aspects of people have to do with the way they have adapted to their ambient, right? Or in which part geographically they live. I agree with they cannot be classified as a different species or race because we're all human. but with the purpose of studying how they have adapted to such places and how their physiology has changed because of that process of adaptation, information could be valuable. Nevertheless, so long as it is not prejudiced or used for the purpose of power, which as it has been done, right?
Okay, like for example, you are saying that that the color of your skin might be affected by the climate.
For example, that is might be affected by the climate, might be affected also by the amount of sun that you are resistant to a certain degree.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that that is a different race. It just means that you have culturally adapted in a different way.
That's fine. So in this case, this is a biological study that is studying, like for example, the impact of sunshine as an independent variable on the color of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then, for example, there's I saw.
So that will be for pure biological reason. Okay, we are studying the impact of an independent variable on a dependent variable, and we are not classifying people into categories based on their physical appearance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's another note about what you were suggesting now, that the physical there's a difference between the physical appearance and the physical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the physical appearance will be the color of your skin, the shape of your eyes, the shape of your nose, the kind of your hair. Okay, but the physical abilities can be related to weaker or stronger muscles. Okay, maybe me and you are going to the gym regularly, and we are doing the same exercises, and we are eating the same diet. Okay, but still your muscles are stronger than mine because of genetic reasons that you have inherited from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That may sometimes
therefore,
even have to do with ethnicity, but not race.
Excuse me.
That may sometimes even have to do with ethnicity, but not.
No, this is not still. This is not ethnicity, because ethnicity is culture. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but still we cannot call that racial influence. This is not race, but this by difference in the biological abilities, of course, it can affect the things that you can do in everyday life, and it can affect the things that it will not I can't do, but it will need from me more effort to do. Okay, but we can find examples like that within every race, right? So among every group that has the same or approximately the same physical appearance, we can find the stronger people and weaker people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can find taller people and shorter people. Okay, but and of course there are some biological reasons why somebody can be stronger or weaker. Okay, and that can affect the daily activities. Okay,
So
but
long as they are not generalized or stereotyped.
exactly, no
Yes.
generalization, no stereotyping, but of course it can happen, and it will be even more visible. The point that you are talking about now will be even more visible when we talk about because the biological differences or the biological abilities, maybe they are more visible among different sexes than or more affecting the daily efforts that people can do than the influence of race. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
However, that can't be used as an excuse to discriminate.
Of course.
Okay. Why all of this discussion about racism and racial discrimination and ethnic discrimination is very important? Are we only saying that for the sake of discussion, or because it affects the actual real life? Okay, of course, because it affects the actual real life. So I want Maria now, Maria Navarrete, to use this slide that is in front of us now, slide number 13. Maria. Maria. Maria Navarrete. Maria Navarrete, as we said before, that we have a grade for participation, and it's not enough to attend, but you need to mentally attend, and you need to participate and to answer and to respond quickly when I call somebody's name. Okay, Maria Navarrete. Maria, we are in class.
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Hi, Maria, where have you been? I called you 3 or 4 times.
Sorry, the thing is that I'm with my phone and I'm with my earphones and the microphone doesn't work, so I have to unplug it and then use my SMS.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, so were you hearing the discussion now about how race is socially constructed? And we were asking a question, why all of this discussion is important? I want you to use the slide in front of us now to answer this question. Why all of this discussion about race and how race is socially constructed and racial discrimination, why all of that is so relevant to our everyday life nowadays?
I think it's relevant because I think it has been with us like our entire time, and it's a need for the humankind and some races to feel superior to others. I think that's because of ignorance and lack of education.
Okay, what you are talking about now is the causes, but we are now talking about the effects, not the causes.
The effects?
Okay? The effects. Please, can you turn on the camera, Maria? And everyone in the class expected to be asked the question now.
Okay.
Okay, so I want everybody to pay attention.
Can you see me?
And, I don't see you yet.
Wait, just give me 1 sec.
Okay.
I don't know why I cannot turn on my.
Okay, no problem. Answer, just to save time. Answer.
Okay. You want me to answer about the effects, right?
Yes. In which way all of this topic is affecting our everyday life nowadays?
Well, that you can see every day in the news. I think all the immigration, all the persecution that people from different races go through. Especially in Africa, all the people that have to leave their countries and go abroad to find a safer place to live because they are persecuted because of their color of the skin, their beliefs. A perfect example for this, I think we all know, is, for example, the Holocaust or the mass.
Yeah. Continue.
Or have different beliefs. Yes.
Okay. What do you mean by life chances and how the life chances are affected by the social construction of race?
Are you asking me, Maria, still?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Well, I think.
What do you mean by life chances?
It's the life chances is because sometimes people, they're not safe where they live. I give you a perfect example. I live in Ecuador. It's a country in Latin America, although a lot of countries here are very insecure.
Okay, again, what is the name of your country?
Ecuador.
Ecuador, okay. And in which way different racial groups, the life chances of different racial groups are affected by this notion? Maria?
because we have
Yeah.
a lot. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There's a lot of people from the Amazon that live here, and there's a lot of like tribes and all that that are not contacted, and people are very racist towards them. And also there's a lot of immigration going on here from people going coming from Venezuela, that it's a country in Latin America as well that it's going through a really hard time. They have a lot of violence and poverty, so they come here, and people here is very racist towards them, although we look exactly the same.
Good.
And a lot of them are murdered in the streets and all that, so it's very insecure for them, but still it's way better than back in their home countries. So I think that's a perfect example of that. And it's like it's weird because we look exactly the same, we're like the same race.
Okay, so even when people look the same,
It's
they can still find some variations within themselves, and they exercise some kind of racism based on this variation.
yes.
Okay, and that has reminded you that in some African societies there is although more or less the people of a particular society might be the same color in our point of view, but they don't consider themselves to have the same color, and they can discriminate between each other on the basis of darker or lighter skin. Okay, okay. And when we say life chances, thank you very much, Maria. And now, Jenny Gideon. Jenny.
Hello?
Hello, Jenny.
Yes?
Can you give us some examples of how the socially constructed notion of racial inequality is affecting the life chances of some groups in the society from your own observations?
Can you repeat that question just one more time? Sorry about that. I just didn't understand the question.
Okay, you see the slide in front of you, right?
Yes. Yes.
You see that in this slide you have the social meaning of race affects the life chances. From your personal social observations around you in the society, okay? Did you personally observe, or do you know about, or you are aware about how life chances of some people are affected by this socially constructed racial inequality?
For example, even though most people classify everybody with dark skin as Africans, even so I'm currently in the Bahamas, so the majority of the population are African, have their ancestry from Africa, but they still discriminate from people from Haiti, even though you can't tell them apart racially because both our ancestors came came to the Caribbean through the African slave trade, but you can still see discrimination against people from Haitian and Haitian descent. So that's an example of racial effects.
Okay, okay. And those kinds of discrimination, how they affect those where those people live, how some people are living in particular neighborhoods which have better facilities, and other people or other groups of people living in other neighborhoods which have poorer facilities, how they are treated, the access to wealth, power, and prestige, the access to education, okay, the life expectancy, and the medical care, okay, how all of those points, okay, get affected by this racial inequality that you are talking about?
That's true. So people from Haitian descent can be discriminated based on when they're trying to get a job, when they're trying to find someplace to rent. Examples.
So employment is affected, right?
Yes.
And if employment is affected, so income will get affected. And if income is affected, the housing will get affected. Okay.
Yes.
The education of the children will get affected. The nutrition and the kind of food will get affected.
Yeah.
Right. Health and life expectancy will get affected. All of those are consequences of each other.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Jenny. Anybody else has a question? Barraj. Thank you very much, Jenny. Barraj. Balraj. Balraj, your hand is raised up. Do you have a question?
No, Professor, I think that is the technical problem. It is not going down.
Okay. Okay. So I think all of you, if you don't understand, please ask me. All of you understand now that that racial discrimination and any kind of discrimination whatsoever is important not only for philosophic reasons, but because it is important because it affects the actual life chances of people in the society right now.
I have a comment on that, Professor. Is it?
Yes.
Can I comment?
Yes.
Because I also believe, and from what my experience, and I have seen people as well, for example, in Mexico, there's a lot of discrimination and there's a lot of racism having to do with indigenous peoples and people that have Western background that are living in Mexico and ancestors.
Okay.
Nevertheless, and that does affect the possibilities of people to get a job and all of the other examples that were already mentioned. Nevertheless, because race is a social construct, that means that it started with an idea. So if the individual believes it, then he gets treated like it. But if the individual doesn't believe it and he acts accordingly to what he desires from society, then society also opens up all of the opportunities that once socially were banned or were segregated for that kind of people. I've known a lot of people that were in the first part of their lives were discriminated, and then because they stopped believing that they should be discriminated on what society believed about them, now they have access to absolutely everything, that they changed their whole lives. So does the belief of the individual have anything to do with the social construct, or the social construct can control socially, can put a bubble, an atmosphere around it that cannot be passed? I don't know if I explained.
Okay. Yeah. I think your point is very clear. A discrimination about a particular racial group, or ethnic group, or religious group, or gender group, or whatever, it doesn't mean that nobody ever of this group will succeed in the society. It doesn't mean that nobody ever from this group will become rich. It doesn't mean that nobody ever from this group will become a minister or even a president, like the case of Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? There are people, but usually those people are few ones, who are willing to work much harder in order to overcome all of those obstacles and the barriers, okay, and achieve higher social mobility in the society. Okay? And some of them do succeed to achieve that. Okay, but in order to achieve that, they have done much greater effort than another person who doesn't belong to this group that is suffering from discrimination. You get my point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a very important point. So there is no contradiction between the fact that some people from some groups which suffer from discrimination, they succeed in reaching high levels in the society. Okay, there is no contradiction between that and the fact that discrimination might keep on happening. And a very good example of that is the United States. That the fact that Barack Obama became president of the United States, that doesn't deny the fact that racial discrimination on the basis of color was still being practiced, okay, even at the times when Barack Obama was president. Okay, how can we know that? By proportion-wise, by proportion-wise, and by the ideas of overrepresented and underrepresented. Let's say that we are a society of 1 million persons. Okay, and this society, 50 of them are having a dark skin, okay, and 50% are whites. Okay, if we find that all of the top positions in this society, or 90% of the top positions are occupied by whites, and only 10% occupied by the ones with darker skin, okay, so there is something wrong going on. That means that the whites are overrepresented in those top positions, and the non-whites are underrepresented. Okay, so that means that some reformation in the educational system should happen, some regular reformation should happen, some public policy reformation should happen in order to provide more equalities and more fairness in the society. Okay, you got the point? And there is also another very important side of what you talked about. What you talked about also is related to the notion of xenocentrism that we were discussing last time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, an additional factor that can participate in keeping you down is when if you are convinced that you are inferior. If you are personally convinced that you are not equal, so you will not try to achieve a higher position. You will just say, this is my fate. I'm less intelligent. I'm biologically not as advanced as this other group, so I can't ever compete with them. Okay? Of course, that can be an additional factor that can intensify the problem of inequality, because the group that is suffering from discrimination, they will not even try to resist this discrimination. Okay? Thank you very much, Alan. Thanks. Okay, so now let's go to a brief history about race.
Professor?
Yes.
I want to give one comment to Alan's point.
Yeah, of course.
Your point was very good, actually. I really like it.
Thank you.
I appreciate your point.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Did you want to add something here, Armanpreet?
No, that's it. Alan explained everything and you too. So I
Okay.
don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you very much, Manpreet. Okay, I want everybody is paying attention. So now we finished talking about the impacts of racial inequalities on life chances. Life chances means where you live, your educational chances, your nutritional chances, your employment chances, your income chances, your healthcare chances, your life expectancy. Okay, like there are many statistics which says that for example in the US the percentage of people who were killed by the coronavirus from the black Americans, okay, was much higher than the percentage of white Americans who were killed by the coronavirus. Why? Is the virus discriminating? Is a virus discriminating on the basis of race? No. Okay. So why? Do you have a logical explanation of that?
Can you explain your question again, please?
Okay. Statistics say that the percentage of black Americans who got killed by the coronavirus is much higher than the percentage of white Americans who got killed by the coronavirus.
Yes, I have that logic.
And of course, the virus itself is not discriminating between people on the basis of color. Okay, so why is that? Do you have some explanation of that?
Yes, Professor, I have.
Who has an explanation of that? I want somebody, now we have Saheldeep, we have Armanpreet. Who else can explain that? Why the coronavirus killed much more black Americans than white Americans? Okay, we have Jonathan as well. Okay, we have Alan, Saheldeep, Armanpreet. Only 5 students out of 30 students attending today. This is a very small proportion. Okay, I want Vinka to answer this question. I'm sorry for all of the good ones who raised up their hands, but I want Vinka to answer this question if she is hearing me now. Vinka. Vinka, we have a class. Vinka. Principal.
Yes, Professor.
Yes. Don't ask me to repeat the question. I repeated it already 3 times.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so answer the question, please.
Because we know that Americans are not like following up the precautions, like they are not sitting at home. Like now, Black Friday is going on, so they are traveling and shopping more and more. By which?
Yes, but yes, what you are saying is very important, but that is not answering the question. That is only answering another question which I didn't ask, which says, what are the social factors which led to the widespread of the coronavirus among Americans? And in this, if I ask this question, you would say what you said now, that many Americans don't take the health precautions and they don't stay home and they go shopping and they keep on intermingling with each other, and that's why the coronavirus is transmitting between them very easily. Okay, but I didn't ask this question. I asked another question. Let Yajan, did you hear my question? Stay with me, Principal, please. Yajan, did you hear my question?
Hello.
Hello, Yajan. Did you hear my question?
Professor, your voice is muttering.
I think my voice is very clear. I don't have any interruption in my network at all. Okay. So did you hear my question or you didn't hear my question? Okay. Shabnam, did you hear my question?
Hi, Professor. Yes.
Yes. What was my question?
Yeah, you told us about the statistics about that coronavirus and the death of Americans. That
Which racial group in the US got killed by the coronavirus more than the other group?
yeah, you told that white Americans are killed by coronavirus and the other and you also told about the black Americans that yeah, and
Okay, so
yeah.
who got killed more by the coronavirus, the white Americans or the black Americans?
White Americans.
No, the
Like,
opposite.
yeah,
Much more black Americans got killed by the
Black
coronavirus. Why was that? Okay, let's return to
yeah.
Principal. Principal, do you know the question now?
Yeah, Professor.
And I hope that Yajan knew the question now. So the question was why the coronavirus killed more black Americans than white Americans, or okay, or killed proportion wise. The black Americans who got killed by the coronavirus were much more than the white Americans who get killed by the coronavirus. And of course, the virus is not discriminating on the basis of color. So I want Principal to give us logical, social reasons for this. Principal.
Yes, Professor.
I think I'm asking Principal, I'm asking a very easy question, by the way. I'm not asking a difficult question at all, and it is only a question that depends on logic. Okay, I want, we didn't hear Diego for a long time. Okay, and I'm sure that Diego will be able to answer this question. Please, Diego, can you answer this question, please?
Okay, well, I think that the main reason of that it's because the system gives more privilege to white people, and they have more access to the healthcare system.
Okay.
And
Good.
most of them can afford a private medication.
Very
and
good.
therefore they are able to heal themselves. And the minorities are less privileged, and they they don't have that access to the healthcare system, and most of them die.
Okay, very good. And in addition to that, so Diego talked about the accessibility to healthcare that Black Americans, because many of them are poor, so they have less access to the healthcare. Okay, and also within the healthcare, at some times they might suffer from discrimination inside the hospitals, especially at the times of at the times when the hospitals are overcrowded with patients. So which patients will be given priority more than other patients? So sometimes this racial discrimination happens in this case without saying that this is racial discrimination. Okay. And in addition to that, I think Carlos wants to add here, and Sahel Deep. So Carlos, what do you want to add?
Yes, I was going to add that throughout the time, like white American people have more privilege than people that is black. For example, the attention in hospitals now with this pandemic, this has affected them.
Okay. The coronavirus is the main, the main enemy of the coronavirus is the immunity, right? The main guard inside the human body that tries to protect the body against any virus or microbe is the immunity system, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this immunity system is greatly affected by what? By the nutrition, right?
Right.
How is the nutrition related to racial discrimination?
I don't know if it's about
Can the nutrition,
economical
can the
source.
type of food that you eat be affected by racial discrimination? Of course, we are
Yes.
talking about indirect influence.
Yes.
Okay, in which ways?
Because everybody have access in so many ways. For example, economically to buy some things. For example, in so many places like about vegetables and other things is so expensive.
Okay. So what is better for health, for example, the organic vegetables or the non-organic vegetables?
The organic ones.
Okay, which ones are more expensive?
For example, well, it depends because both are expensive. It depends in the product. For example, if
Yes,
you need to
but
buy
in general, which ones are more expensive?
the organic ones.
Okay. And poverty is more widespread among the Black Americans or the white Americans? And of course, that we should not stereotype. There are some white Americans who are poor, and there are some Black Americans who are rich. Okay, but relatively, poverty is more widespread among white Americans or Black Americans? I don't hear. Carlos, are you still with us?
I'm sorry, I have a bad internet connection, so I can't hear your question.
No problem. I think Sahel Deeb will answer this question. Poverty is more widespread among Black Americans or white Americans?
Obviously, among the Black Americans, because they have.
Okay, but please don't stereotype. You can never say that all Black Americans are poor, and we can never say that all white Americans are rich. This is not true. Okay, but I'm just saying relatively, poverty is more widespread among Black Americans than white Americans. How can that affect the nutrition, and therefore how that can affect the immunity system in the body?
For example, they are economically discriminated. Like when a person goes to be hired for a job, there are two options for the company or for the employer, that he can choose a white person or a black person. Then it doesn't matter that his education, his experience, but at that moment only the racism matters, that he will definitely choose white person for the job, because in the American system priority bases are more given to the white as compared to the black.
Sahel Deep, I very much appreciate your answer, but I just want you, if you are answering an exam, I want you to choose to change a few words. Like, for example, you said definitely. Nothing is definite. Okay? You said definitely the white person will be given the job. No, you say that that probably the white person will be given the job if they have equal qualifications. You say that maybe the employer is to some extent a racist employer, okay, but nothing is definite. So not every employer is racist, not every job place is discriminating on the basis of color, okay, but in general, there is more discrimination, there is more job discrimination against the non-white applicants. Okay, and therefore your point that is affecting the income, and therefore that can affect the nutrition, and therefore that can affect the immunity, and therefore that can affect the degree of resistance to the virus. Okay, right? So
Yes,
this is your point.
Yes,
okay,
thank you, Professor, for
Okay.
giving me such words, because I often use wrong words like definitely, totally. Sometimes I
Yeah,
use these
okay.
words.
So definitely, always, 100%, usually don't use those words in social science at all, because nothing is definitely happening. Nothing is 100% happening. Okay?
Okay, Professor. I will
Okay,
take care
thank
of
you. Thank you very much, Sahel Deep. Maria Navarid, you have a question. Maria. Maria, your hand is up, but it seems that you are not here. I'm repeating again, please, everybody. At the time of the class, we should not be doing anything else other than the class activity itself. Okay, please. I'm saying that, I can ignore. Okay, I can just enjoy peace of mind and don't keep on saying that again and again. But I'm caring about your own performance, about your own grades. That's why I keep on advising. Okay, at the time of the class, don't get busy with any other thing at all. Okay, and one of the things that can help you doing that is you keep your camera on all of the time. We are human beings, and when we feel that we are visible by others, that we are seen by others, that we are watched by others, we are paying more attention. We are paying more attention to the speaker. Okay. Okay. If I switch off my camera now, I might unconsciously look at the messages that I have received up to the moment on my phone. Okay. You get my point? So one of the ways to help yourself paying attention to the class, keep your camera on all of the time. Okay, let's go to this slide. A brief history of race. I will summarize this slide because I don't want the time to finish without finishing this. Okay, a brief history of race. Okay, this slide simply says that racism is not a very ancient invention in the Western society. It says that that racism and racial inequality started with the European expansion and the European imperialism and the European colonization of other parts of the world. Okay, why? Because let's say that I'm country X. Okay, I'm a European colonial power at the 16th century. Okay, and I want to use my newly acquired military power to occupy other countries. Okay, I need to tell my own people why I'm doing that. Otherwise, my own people might tell me, what you are doing is unfair. What you are doing is wrong. Why you go and steal the natural resources of other people? Why you go and kill other people? Why? Okay. So my own people might themselves disagree with me as a government, okay, about this imperialism or colonization of other countries, okay, and therefore it was important for those European powers at that time to convince themselves and convince the public opinion inside their own countries that those people are not equally human, that those people don't deserve the same rights as the rights that we deserve, that it is not unfair to occupy the lands and to steal their natural resources and to enslave their people. Okay, that they are a different race and they are not as human as us. We are superior humans and they are not very humans. Okay, in this way, those European powers tried to justify this colonization and this imperialism, so they will not blame themselves and they will not let their societies blame them. Okay, and in some cases they even succeeded to convince some people in the occupied societies that they are superior and they are inferior, and those people accepted this colonization and even cooperated with it. Okay, Sahil Deep has a question here.
Professor, I can't see the presentation on my screen. Something went wrong.
Can you log in again, please? Anybody else doesn't see the presentation?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, can you please try to log out and log in to see whether you see the presentation or not? I think it is related to your own internet connection. We are in slide. We are in slide 15 now. Okay,
No,
until you log out and log in, I'm explaining this slide. So this slide says that race didn't exist until the European expansion and exploration that began around 1500. 1500 means the 16th century. Okay, but before that, it says that before that there were other kinds of discrimination, but not racial discrimination that was based on physical appearance. Okay, it says that there were other kinds of discrimination, maybe, but not this kind of discrimination that is based on color. Okay. Like, for example, in the fourth point here in this slide, it says they granted whom? The Greeks, the Greek Empire. That the Greek Empire, yes, during the Greek time of the Greek Empire, there was many different kinds of discrimination, but not racial discrimination. It says that the Greek. It says that the. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. It says that the Greek civilization was discriminating due to other factors other than race. For example, they granted civilized status to the Nile Valley Nubians who were among the darkest skinned people they knew, while they didn't grant a civilized status to European barbarians in Northern Europe at that time, although they were whites. Okay, so this slide says that before the 1500s, the modern day discrimination. Now, it says that before the 1500s, the modern day racial discrimination was not taking place, but there were other kinds of discrimination. Why racial discrimination flourished after the 1500s? Because the colonial powers, the colonial European imperialist powers wanted to justify the occupation of other countries and the stealing of people's resources and to justify slavery on the basis of difference in color, okay, and difference in physical appearance, and they wanted to convince their own people that it is okay to do that. Okay, good. I think you understand that now. Any question? Any question? Okay.
Professor,
Yes.
I'm not able to watch the presentation because I have already logged in 2 times.
Okay, I will. You can do something to solve this
Same
problem.
with me, Professor.
Okay, all of those who can't watch the presentation. How many persons here? Could you raise up your hands, please? Okay, 3 students, 4 students. Okay. Okay. An easy, fast way to solve this problem is to open the presentation from the Moodle. Okay, and at the same time follow up with me. You can open the PowerPoint from the Moodle. You have the PowerPoint in the Moodle in weeks 5 to 6. Okay, open it and go to slide number 16. And I think this is the fastest way to solve this problem now, and we'll stay on the same track with each other. Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. So now we are in slide 16, which talks about slavery. And slide 16 also says something very interesting. It says while slavery has always existed throughout the human history, okay, but the slavery of the ancient civilizations was not based on color. That during the Greek civilization and the Roman civilization, the ancient Egyptian civilization, okay, during those civilizations, the slaves didn't have a different color, okay, but slavery was based on other political reasons other than the physical appearance, okay, but which slavery was based on racial discrimination and was based in color? The slavery that happened by the Europeans who occupied North and South America and who occupied New Zealand and who occupied South Africa and who occupied Australia after the 1500s. Okay? We call this modern slavery. Of course, 500 years ago is not very modern, but we call this modern slavery or not very modern slavery. also modern slavery might be confusing. Okay, so contemporary slavery. So the slavery of or colonial slavery. Okay, so the slavery which took place during the period of colonialism is different from the pre-colonial slavery. The colonial slavery was very much connected to the color of the skin. Why? Let's take the American example. Okay, I think Ruchika has a question. Ruchika. Ruchika, do you have a question? Okay. Now I'm going to slide 17, okay, in order to answer this question. That what is the question now is how the colonial slavery, okay, became very different from the pre-colonial slavery. The colonial slavery was very much connected to the physical appearance for some reasons that we are going to explain now. Okay? Are you with me? Well, now I'm in slide number 17, and I'm answering why the European exploration brought them increasingly into contact with other human societies who had a bit of different physical appearance, and therefore that was used by those powers in order to justify this colonial slavery. The Europeans, for example, they have Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, were the main forces, the main European forces which occupied both of North and South America, right? Right? Do you hear me? So those 4 European forces were the main ones which occupied North and South America, right? And North and South America were geographical wise, okay, were much huger, were much bigger than the original territories or countries of those European occupiers. Okay, so it was so difficult for them to utilize those lands themselves with their own labor. Okay, so they used their power as well in order to kidnap people from their original societies, and those people were not slaves, but they were captured and they were taken to those new what they called at that time the New World, in which they were sold as slaves, and they were used in order to work in houses, in order to work in agriculture, in order to work in the mines. Okay, and they were treated in a very cruel way, and at that time also the people usually, when the human person, that will go now to psychology a little bit, okay, any human sometimes can blame herself or himself when you are doing something fair against somebody. Okay, so to continue doing this unfair thing without feeling this pain of blame, you convince yourself, or you are fooling yourself, that what you are doing is right. Okay, so one way of convincing themselves at that time that what they were doing is right is to consider those is to say those people, they look different. No way they are on the same human status like us. Okay? In the same way, it is not unhuman, and it is not cruel, and it is justifiable to take advantage of other creatures. Okay, so it is okay as well to take advantage of other people who don't look like us. Okay, so they kept on crystallizing inside their minds and inside their people's minds that those people are not equal, those people are not 100% humans, those people are much less are savages, they are much less developed. Okay, and therefore it is okay to enslave them. Okay, I'm not saying that it's okay to enslave them, but they were saying that at that time. Okay, you got it? So, and we are powerful and they are weak, we are advanced, they are not advanced, therefore we are not equally human, and therefore it's okay to enslave people, it's okay to torture them, it's okay to even kill them sometimes, it's okay to do you know that in some cases the European colonization in some African countries, they were putting humans in cages in the zoos with animals just for the tourists to come and watch them. And if you can search the internet for many there are many pictures in the internet which are proving that. Okay, you got it? Now I'm in slide 18. Any comment on what we are saying now? So the socially constructed notion of inequality was used at that time in the 16th century, in the 17th century, in the 18th century, in the 19th century, and in the first half of the 20th century in order to justify inequality, in order to justify slavery, in order to justify imperialism, in order to justify ethnocentrism, in order to justify colonialism. Okay? You got it? So, any question? I think you got the idea. Anybody has a particular question? And the slide 20 is re-explaining what I have already explained. Okay. The scientific basis of race. I'm in slide 21 now. I'm in slide 21 now. Do you have any question about what we have finished? The scientific basis of race. Is there any scientific basis of race? No, it is not scientific basis, but it is what we call now fake science. What is fake science? Fake science is when you use science in order to make biased researches, in order to reach particular conclusions that will justify something you wanted to happen in advance. Okay? Sahel-Deep, do you have a question?
Yes, Professor. What you have explained in the previous slides, you mentioned that they kidnap them and they put them as slavers. They turn into the slavers. They are doing just that. They are making a sense that they are superior than them and they are honest?
They were not honest, but they were trying to fool themselves and to fool their own societies in order to accept this new situation.
Okay.
Sometimes you are dishonest with yourself and you are trying to deceive yourself in order to not blame yourself for something unfair you are doing with others.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Leave
You said the term. Sorry,
Alan.
the term that you used was fake science?
Yes.
Or-
Yes,
okay.
the term that I'm using now is fake science. What is fake science? Fake science is when you make a biased research in order to reach a particular conclusion that you wanted to reach from before the research. Okay, this is called fake science. Let's say that I love smoking very much. I don't love smoking. I don't smoke. But let's say that I love smoking very much. And I wanted to prove that smoking is not causing cancer and is not harmful to health. And I will say that I will do a research and I will prove through this research that smoking has nothing to do with health. Okay, so I will choose particular people whom I know that they have very good health, despite they are smokers, and I will say, look, I have evidence. I made a research on 300 persons, and none of them had any health issue related to smoking. Okay, so this is fake science. Why? Because this is based on a biased sample that I chose in advance whom I am going to ask in this research, whom I'm going to question in this research. I chose in advance the kind of evidence that I want to use, and I intentionally ignored the counter evidence, okay? And I made fabricated conclusions. Do you get my point? And sometimes even I can ask in the questionnaire what we call leading questions in order to force the respondents or to put pressure on the respondents to say particular answers that I wanted them to say. Okay? So this is called a biased research, a dishonest research. Okay? And that will be a fake research which will lead to what we say fake science. Okay, I have another realistic example that it was known a few years ago. It was discovered a few years ago that the sugar producing companies were financing lots of researches which talk about the diseases that can be caused by the sugar alternatives. Why? Because the sugar producing companies didn't want the customers to switch away from sugar to something else, to another healthier alternative. So they financed the researches which shedded more light, which gave more attention to the health problems that might be caused by the sugar alternatives. Is what I'm saying now anthropology? No, but this is an example of how money and how power and how authority could be used in order to direct the scientific researches towards a particular path and to ignore particular facts and to focus on part of the picture only. You get it? Okay. Let's say that I will make it much simpler. Let's say that that Alan and Barrage now are in a disagreement, and they unfortunately got engaged into a fight, a physical fight. Okay, but Barrage has started and Alan has defended himself, and I'm a biased media. And I'm a biased media which is sympathizing with Barrage against Alan. So I only focus the camera on Alan while he is beating or hitting or committing any kind of violence against Barrage, and I say, look, Alan is an aggressor. Alan is violent. The society should blame Alan for this fight, for this problem. While in fact, Alan was defending himself because Barrage started. Okay? So sometimes the media and sometimes even the scientific researchers might be biased and they focus on wrong evidence, or they can focus on only one part of the picture in order to prove a point that was decided from before the research. Okay? You got it? So, in the same way, some scientific researches were used in the 19th century and in the early 20th century to try to convince the naive people that racism is okay, and people are not equal, and people are not equally intelligent, and people are not equally civilized, and so on, so on, so people will say, look, it is not immoral to be racist. This is the nature of life. It is so it's okay. Racism is acceptable. Racism is okay. Racism is not evil. Okay? You got it? Okay?
Yes, Professor.
Actually, unfortunately, we ran out of time. Okay, it seems that I'm over-explaining things. And we have, but we explained that the very main ideas. All of the next slides will be giving more details about the same things we have already explained. Okay, so I want you please to read alone the remaining slides. Okay, and I will put a link on. I will put a link for discussion about this PowerPoint. Okay. And in this link, I want you to engage into discussion with each other about the rest of this PowerPoint presentation. And if you have a particular question, I will clarify. Okay. Okay, I will take the attendance now. I can also do something else if you need. I can make like a recorded video of that, but I already have the video that that I have sent to you. Its link to you on YouTube. It is not covering the same slides, but covering the same ID. Okay, but if you need a video that is covering the remaining 20 slides in this PowerPoint presentation, and I can also do it and upload it. Because next class will be in the 7th week, right? And we should be doing something else. Okay, so we need to finish with racism during this week. Okay, And the gender discrimination, we are using racial discrimination and gender discrimination just as examples of inequalities, just as examples of discrimination, but the same things that we said about racism, we can apply to some extent on gender, and we can apply on other source of inequalities in the society. Otherwise, we can have a whole academic semester to talk about inequality only. Okay? But I think the idea is clear, that the idea in brief, that societies socially constructed some kinds of inequality in order to justify being unfair, in order to justify discriminating against particular groups of people. Okay? And why that is happening, or why that was happening, why that to some extent it is still happening, because because that is enhancing the interests of some groups in some societies. And what are the impacts of that? The impacts of that will be on the life chances that we talked about. Okay? You got it? So let's now go to the Moodle and take the attendance, please. And please, I will not keep on repeating the names. So you need to pay attention quickly and answer me quickly whenever I call your name, please. Okay? And I know that we have too much work to finish this week and in the next week and the week after, but this is the nature of life, that life is full of pressures, and we should be competent enough to deal with those pressures. Okay?
Professor,
So,
regarding that last comment, the deadline, I just have a question about the term paper.
okay.
And that is the term paper that we're supposed to submit this Sunday as a deadline, right?
Exactly.
What is the difference between that paper and the one that is in the Moodle that says is the final paper?
No, the one that says the final paper is this paper. There's no difference at all. It is this paper, but don't use, they are the same thing exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So don't get confused, please. It is the same thing. We have one paper.
Okay.
Okay. We have one project. This project is composed of three things: the proposal, the final paper. The final paper is a term paper. Okay, I just use the word final to differentiate between it and the proposal.
Okay.
Okay, so we have one project. This project talks about the same topic, and it has the same research question, and it is composed of three destinations. The first destination is the proposal, then the term paper, or call it the final paper, then the presentation, the final presentation. And I'm saying the final presentation to differentiate between it and the mini presentation about the reading.
Okay.
Okay. Armanpreet.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you. Arshdeep. 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 Okay, Arshdeep absent. Devenderjit.
Present, Professor.
You. Kiranveer Kaur. Kiranveer Kaur. Kirti.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you. Manjinder Singh.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Navjot. Navjot. Piyush. 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 Pradivipal.
Yes, Professor.
Pradivipal. Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Sahil Deep.
Yes, Professor.
Shabnam.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Yajan.
Present, Professor.
And Narinderjit.
Present, Professor.
Sagandeep.
Present, Professor.
Garlin.
Present, Professor.
Lavjut.
Present, Professor.
Avneet.
Present, Professor.
Principal.
Present, Professor.
Ruchika.
Present, Professor.
Shobrit. Shubrit Kaur Brar or Shubrit Brar Kaur. Shabrit. Absent. Janie Brianna Gideon. Janie. Janie. Janie Gideon. Janie Gideon. Diego.
Here, Professor.
Thank you. Jonathan.
Hi, Professor.
Thank you. Jayton, you wanted, Jonathan, I know you wanted to participate today, but I didn't give you a chance. But I know that you are an active participant in the class.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah, next time it's okay. Thank you.
Jayton.
Present, Professor. Jatin is here.
Thank you. Harmanpreet.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Manjinder Kaur.
Present, Professor.
Okay.
I'm present, Professor. Can you hear
thank
me?
you. Thank you. I can hear you now.
Thank
you. Premnath.
Present, Professor.
Thank you. Chivani.
Present, Professor.
Maria Antonietta. Maria. Maria Neverett. Maria Antonietta Neverett. Maria, please answer. Maria. Didn't we talk today, Maria? Or that was another Maria? Please
Yes,
remember.
Professor. She said that she had a problem with the microphone when she was talking with you. I don't know.
But Alan, this problem happens too much at the attendance time. I'm not talking about a particular person, but it happened so frequently at the attendance time. Okay,
yeah.
So attending part of the class is not attendance. Okay. Okay, at least she can, if she is hearing me now, she can send me a message now saying that that she has a problem with the microphone, but I'm here. But now, immediately, if she's hearing me. Okay. No, Alan.
Yep.
Now, now we have Balraj. Vinka.
Present, Professor.
Vinka. 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 Vinca, where are you? Okay, Carlos.
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm giving a final chance for anyone whom I was calling and he or she didn't answer before saving, because after saving I can't change anything at all.
Professor, my microphone is dead, so I have a really hard time, and there's not a chat box here.
You are Maria, right?
Yes, Maria, by the way.
Okay, Maria, I called you like 5 times.
Yes, but I cannot find a chat box here, so I was gonna type it. I'm in a different thing right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm through my phone, so it's really complicated here in the app.
Okay. Anybody else? Janie Gideon, I know that you attended part of the class today, but I called you several times and you didn't answer. I'm giving you another chance to answer now. Janie Gideon, I'm giving you an additional chance to answer me, or at least to send me a message saying that you are here. You can send a message on the WhatsApp group saying that you are here. Okay. So now I can't consider you to be present. I'm sorry. We have also the absent ones, Shobrit, okay, Piyush, Navjot, okay, Kiranveer, and Arshdeep. Any of those is present before saving the attendance? You are whom?
Shubrit.
Shubrit. Okay, Shubrit, why you didn't answer me when I called?
Professor, I'm in India and I have some network issues.
Shubrit.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Okay, I'm saving the attendance now, and after that I can't change anything. Thank you. Now, please, I know that you have lots of challenges, but we need to work very hard during the remaining weeks. And I wish everybody in the class a very good grade. Okay, and of course, you know that the more effort you will do, the more you will be able to give good answers in the final exam, because I think you have realized that my questions depend very much on understanding rather than memorization. Okay? So the more the participation, the more the understanding. Okay? The more you are engaged into the work that we are doing now, the more the understanding. Okay?
Professor,
So,
I have a question.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes, ask. But first of all, before asking this question, everybody is free to leave. You can leave if you want. Thank you. Goodbye. And you are free to leave and you are free to stay. The class has finished. I'm just sitting for extra time now for whoever likes. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Maria. Maria, just give me 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay, can you hear me? I don't know if
Maria, I can hear you, but give me 1 minute, please. Give me 1 minute.
Don't worry, perfect. Yeah, don't worry.
I'm sorry, Maria. Maria. Maria?
Sorry, I was talking and no one can hear me.
No problem.
I said, don't worry, Professor. You're very patient. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my question was that because today we discussed a lot of things, I want to access the recording because I only have like the presentation, the PowerPoint, but I would like to take some notes on the discussions. So I don't know how to access